Hello, my name is Archisha and I welcome you back for another crafty tutorial today. Today I will be showing you 4 Diwali cards using the new Craftangle dies. Let's hop on to the first one. The first card is a see-through shaker card. For this one I am going to be using the Craftangle's layered die set. As you can see, these dies are actually linked when they come in the packaging, but it is very easy to unlink them and use them individually. This die set has 3 parts. One is the base of the diya and 2 extra dies for the layering part. Now let's start die cutting. For this I have a card base and a card panel. First, I will be using the base diya die to cut out the diya shape out of the card panel. Next, I am placing my card panel so that I can make the die cut on the card base. It has to be see-through, so it needs to be die cut from both the papers so that they are aligned and it forms a tunnel. I am using the reference of the panel to cut through the card base as well, and I'll be opening the card and die cutting it through my machine so that it only cuts the front panel and not both the sides of the card. Many a times my die cutting machine is not very clean, and when I'm die cutting white paper I tend to have marks on my paper, and to get rid of that I use an ink eraser, and it's really helpful. Now the most important part of a shaker is the acetate. I have cut out 2 acetate panels so that I can apply it on the card base window as well as the card panel window. The card base acetate panel will go on top or on the outside part of the card base, and the acetate sheet for the card panel will go under the card panel. So the acetate is not exposed on any side, as in the entire sheet is not exposed. It is sandwiched between the 2 papers, that is the card base and the card panel. What I'm saying may be a little confusing, but if you see it, it'll be easier to understand. Next, I'm die cutting my layering pieces from the die set. From the scrap that I had, it is a shiny embossed gold piece of paper. Now I am placing my die cuts on the card panel. The card panel is the part which will be seen from outside the card. I am layering those die cuts on the acetate which I have already stuck under the card panel. Now I would also like to mimic the same die cuts on the inside, but it needs to be in the mirror image of the dies. Hence, I'm cutting the paper from its back side. So when it's die cut and it comes out, it will perfectly fit with the diya. Now, before I stick the die cuts on the inside, I'm going to work on the height of my shaker. I'm not using foam tape. Rather, to make it more sturdy, I have cut out the diya base from multiple pieces of white cardstock, and this is Craftangle's dual textured cardstock, so it's already pretty thick, so it helps in giving height using the minimal number of panels. So you see that I'm just using liquid glue and I'm sticking the panels on top of each other, making sure diya is aligned so that it forms the well of the shaker. See, you see, that's pretty thick and it has a lot of height to help the shaker elements from moving. I'm sticking this entire thick panel onto my card base with some liquid glue, and you see again the well is formed. To secure that bond, you can add some heavy books on top of it and keep it for some time. Now let's work on the shaker elements. I'm adding some white heart shaker elements by Craftangles and some bronze sequins that I had from years ago. Those are my shaker elements. And once the shaker elements are put in there, I am adding the top card panel to close the well and which forms the shaker window. There you see our shaker window is complete, and when you open the card, it's a see-through card. Finally, I'm sticking the mirror image die cuts of the diya from the inside of the card. To know more details about all the supplies that I've used, check out the description box, which will take you to the Craft Angles blog, which has details about all the supplies used for all the cards. For my sentiment, I'm using the Shubh Dipavali word die from the Happy Diwali Craft Angles die set, and this is in the Hindi script, so I really found it very beautiful. I have die cut it out of gold mirror cardstock, and with the help of a tweezers, I am carefully placing it directly on my card panel without applying any kind of foam adhesive or height behind it. Finally, as a last step and to finish the card, I added some gold sequins, and I love this white and gold look. I think it looks very simple yet very classy and royal. And this is my first see through card, so I'm very excited for it. Let's move on to the next card. This one is also on a very similar color palette, that is gold and whites. First, I'm going to start with a gold mirror cardstock, which is going to be my card panel. I am die cutting Om from the card panel multiple times, and this die is from the Happy Diwali die set of Craft Angles. In the center of my panel, I am creating a belly band from vellum sheet. For this, I have attached some double-sided tape at the back of my panel, and I'll wrap my vellum belly band on those double-sided tape. So I don't have to actually stick any glue on the panel because glue is usually visible from a vellum sheet. So this is a very neat way of creating a belly band. Now I've got some liquid glue at the back of my card panel, and this entire card panel goes on my card base. I have die cut the dies Happy Diwali from the same die set multiple times, and I have layered them together. When I layer several die cuts together, it becomes like a chipboard piece, and I think it really stands out on a card. And since this is like a white on white kind of look, I really kept my sentiment layering pretty thick. So there you see I have added Happy Diwali on the belly band, and I'm just finishing off the card with some gold sequins. This is a very simple card. You don't need any stamping or inking, just die cutting, and a very beautiful and classy Diwali card is ready. Now the third card. Again, a lot of die cutting, but I would also like to point out that for this card, I tried choosing colors which are very non-conventional for Diwali. So not red golds, but something very pastel for Diwali. I'm going to start by inking my background with a very light ink using the Craft Angle stencils. This is the Craft Angle Starry Lights 6x6 stencil. There you see it creates a very nice light background, and I wanted to keep it light because I'll be having a lot of die cuts on my panel, but I also did not want my panel to be entirely bare. Now for this card I'm using the Craft Angles lanterns die set, and I have die cut all those lanterns from multiple colored glitter cardstock like pinks and mint green, white and ice blue. I'm going to first start by placing my strings, and then once my strings are in position, I am going to alternate all the colors and stick those lanterns. This is again a very easy card, but I think there's a lot of effort that goes into die cutting. But I really had fun creating these cards because I was excited to use these non-conventional colors for Diwali. I'm using the white die cuts to just fill in the gaps amongst all the colored lanterns. I'm just tidying up my card panel by trimming off all those excess die cuts hanging off the edges. Like the previous card, I'm going to do some layer die cutting again with the die Shubh Deepavali from the Happy Diwali die set. But this time I'm using some black cardstock. And here is a fast forward process of how I layer them. You may notice a little change of lighting. That is because I was shooting this video in the night, which was after sunset. So it's not very bright, but I tried my best. There, my thick sentiments are ready. Again, they look like jet black chipboard pieces, and I really find that very fancy. I'm going to directly stick my sentiment with some liquid glue on the card panel at the bottom right position. Now the entire panel goes on a card base. I've got some foam tape behind my card panel to add some height. And to finish off the card, I'm going to add some pink sequins here and there to add more glitter and glamour. Of course, we can't have enough of shiny things during Diwali. And that completes the third card for today with all non-conventional colors. Moving to the last card for the day and probably my most favorite project for Diwali and also the most simplest project. For this one, I'm going to use the Firecracker dies by Craft Angles. It's a new release. And I'm using a shimmery mint green cardstock. I'm trying to show that shimmer to you, but it's not very evident on camera. But it has a very nice subtle sheen, and I absolutely find it very beautiful. I'm going to directly die cut those firecracker shapes from my card panel. Now working on the sentiment again, like all the previous cards, it's some layering of die cuts. But I'm going to first layer white die cuts, and on top I'm going to put some silver mirror cardstock die cut. So it gives a very interesting look. The top is nice and mirrory, but mirrory, I don't think that's a word, but the bottom is white. So yeah, I really find that a very interesting look. I have fixed my panel onto the card base with some foam adhesive at the back, and now I'm directly sticking the layered die cut on my card panel. And this is so easy. The only step left for this card is to add some glamour, and I'm going to do that by adding some random silver sequins in different shapes. And that's it, the card is complete. I am so proud of this design because it was so simple and yet it looks so beautiful. That's it, guys. Those were all the cards for today. I hope this video inspires you to push those dies even further. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel. You can also follow me on Instagram at kenchi.school. Bye.